Oh hey, how's it going? You know, I started collecting video games not even that long ago, and to be honest, I don't even have that much of a collection yet, but a lot of these games I've bought and I just have never played. Like, let's see, what do we got here? Like Infamous, never touched that. Or like, what else do I got? The God of War collection, haven't played any of those games. And today I was just thinking, why don't we play something new? Maybe I can make a new video, something I haven't talked about, something I don't have any. Sorry, where was I? Okami on PS4. I've heard good things about that. Haven't played it yet. I got a couple of the older Splinter Cell games. Haven't played either of those. And um, Prince of Persia on PS3. I don't even know. I don't even know what this game is. But okay. You know what? Okay. You know what? Fine. Fine. We'll play Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4. I've played it like 20 freaking times, and I can't stop myself. Every other day, I'm like, oh, I should play something new. Something I haven't played, and it always comes back to this. Why? Either way, let's get this over with. The Tony Hawk series of games were legendary back in the day. With the first one coming around the peak of skateboarding's popularity in the 90s, every game added new features, more tricks, better maps, and killer soundtracks, which are, of course, full of copyright music that I can't use in this review, but don't worry. Instead of that, we're going to be playing the Jet Set Radio soundtrack in the background, because, these games are pretty similar, right? Right? Oh, Jet Set Radio. I'll get to you one day, I swear. Unfortunately, though, the series has kind of fallen by the wayside after the disastrous release of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5, which was supposed to revitalize the series, but ended up kind of having the opposite effect. But who knows, with the recent teases of a Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 remake, a lot of people are getting hyped for a hopeful series return. But today, I wanted to talk about Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4 and my experience of it being my first game as a newer fan of the series. If you're wondering why I decided to start with 4, I really didn't decide. One day I was helping a family friend clean their house to get ready to move, and we found a copy of the game. They told me they had gotten rid of their PS2 years ago, but asked if I wanted it, and who am I to say no in that position? And that's that. I was excited as I knew that people loved the series and often gushed over it, so as soon as I got home I popped the game in to find out for myself. And oh man, I was not disappointed. This game blew me away. For the first few weeks, it was all I wanted to play and all I could think about. All the stages, the tricks, the characters, and all the goals I hadn't figured out how to beat yet. So, it's safe to say that I like this game. But I know you're asking, why? Well, that's going to take some explaining to do, so let's get started. The first compliment I would give this game was one that even Donkey brought up in his video about Tony Hawk Pro Skater. When you start the game, you start the game. There's no story, no tutorial, no cutscene at all, really. In Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4, there's a small text box telling you how to unlock more levels, but it lasts like 5 seconds and then you're in the game. I mean, most of the games in the series don't even have that much. Honestly, this is what you would consider the longer option out of the whole series, but it works so well for the game. I think at some point, Activision must have just realized that, yeah, nobody's playing this game for a story. All we want is clean and addicting gameplay, which luckily Activision was able to supply. Now, here's probably where we should tackle the game's structure, as it's a bit different from most of the other installments. In almost every other one of the main games, you're dropped into a map with a list of goals to complete and 2 minutes to complete them. Once you fulfill the requirements of a challenge, it would get crossed off, and you didn't need to beat all of them in one go either, so you could keep retrying, learning the best routes until you could pull off all the goals in just 2 minutes, which honestly always felt really satisfying. However, in Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4, they changed it to a more open gameplay style. Every level in this game has 16 goals. Or 14 goals, or 21 goals, and then there's the pro goals, so It doesn't really matter. Each level has a set amount of goals, but instead of a timer to complete them all in, you're just dropped into the world. No time limit, you can just explore the map. Learn some good spots, find cash, and just skate around, honestly. Instead, the way you complete goals is by finding people with arrows over them and talking with them to access these challenges. While it kind of eliminates that feeling of speed from the other games, I also really like the more relaxed nature of this game. It especially helps if you're newer to the series like I was. Instead of being rushed to try to learn the controls and how to accomplish a bunch of different goals in a level you've never played before, you're allowed to just drop in and learn the game in a less rushed manner. In my case, the first goal I did in this game was to go warn other skaters that cops were coming to break up all the skating. While trying to do this goal, I realized that the X button is not only how you ollie, but if you hold it, it also allows you to skate faster. It was a simple yet effective way of letting the player learn the controls without just telling them. The game is all about experimentation. You'll be skating around and you realize that when you're in the air you can use the O and square key in a direction to do tricks and get a score. Then you realize you can grind on surfaces using triangle, which makes you think of ways to combine these techniques. And pretty soon you're learning basic combos. I still remember my first time I hit a 14k point combo. I felt like a god. I was like, I'm so freaking good at this game. I must be like the top skater at this point. Then I went on YouTube and saw people pulling off insane combos that were like 400,000 points, and that's when I knew, I was only getting started with what the game had to offer. Each new stage brought along different goals that taught even more concepts to add to your expanding list of combo tools. Manuals, reverts, spine transfers, lip tricks, special bar, and the list just keeps going. Every time I played through the game, I would learn something new, which helped in beating more and more challenges. Speaking of which, this game has 190 goals spread across 9 different levels, and to be honest, the first time I played, I probably didn't even get half of them done. But then the next time, I was able to get a couple more. And then you start realizing pro tricks are there and how to do them, and then you start being able to do a couple more on top of that. And then you start getting more levels, and you start doing more, until nowadays where I've been able to complete all the goals, except one. Rune Glifberg's pro goal. I swear, I don't know why, but I can't do this one. I know that involves you doing a boneless to get up to the top of that roof, but I don't know how to do one, so if you have any tips, please help me. It keeps me awake at night thinking about how I'm only one goal off from beating this game. So after that sad realization, let's move back to the game. So you may be wondering what these goals are and why I keep mentioning them and why do they matter. So, as I keep saying, each stage is filled with them. Now each level does have a common set of goals that's spread across each one, like every level has a pro score and combos and skate letters and competitions that I don't really like, to be honest. But all the other goals for every level are pretty unique, and each level gets harder with even the common set. So one level will have pro score 14,000, and then the next it's going to be like 20,000, and it just keeps going on until you start getting bigger numbers, which also helps you try to learn more stuff as you keep getting pushed to go further and further. Each level also has tons of diversity and makes each one feel fleshed out and unique. I mean, there's a lot of variety even just from the levels themselves. You go from a shipyard to Alcatraz to, just a normal skate park, but each one is full of detail that makes them feel more alive. I mean, you got college where you're going around dunking frat boys, pissing off the cops, and then you go to something like the carnival where you're skating around on roller coasters and doing different games and different mini games they have available. Now, once you've finished a certain amount of goals, you unlock the pro goals. Each one is specifically made for a different skater, and these can get pretty hard, but they're also super cool to do. Like Tony's, where you're doing tricks in between half pipes super high off the ground, to different ones where you're grinding on some of the longest rails imaginable, and the Rune Glifbergs, which we're not going to talk about, but nevertheless, these are all really fun goals, and once you've beaten them, you get to see a sort of highlight reel of these skaters' careers, which I honestly ended up finding really interesting, seeing as how the only skater most people know of is Tony Hawk. And after beating your first pro goal, you also unlock 5 new goals across every level that are worth more cash. Now you might be wondering, what am I supposed to do with all this cash? Well, I'm glad you asked. You see, the game has a store full of different things you can buy. There's outfits for your custom skater, cheat codes, more characters, and even 2 of the game's levels are hidden behind purchases. So this need of money actually encourages you to search the levels and do challenges. But the thing I love the most about this game is the replayability. I wasn't kidding in the opening, I've actually played it that many times. My best friend is always yelling at me, telling me I play this too much, but he can't stop me at this point. No one can. I think it helps that it's just so quick, whenever there's a day when I'm not sure what to play, I just pop this game in and start a new game, and I can usually beat the game in less than a day. There's just something about the gameplay that just keeps me wanting to come back. An urge where I just want to learn new combos and hopefully beat Rune's Pro Goal one day. The game has slowly become one of my most played games over the years, and I'm definitely hoping of playing it even more. And that's Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4. If this video looked interesting to you, I'd highly recommend checking out the series, but for now, I'm Twin Dragos, and I think I'm going to try to move on to something new. After one more time.